Hello and welcome to Sigi Air. Today we're going to take a flight from JFK to Newark using the new helicopter aircrafts available now on the last update for Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're going to be flying the Bell 407. Now, I haven't flown helicopters, and it's quite challenging. But for the purpose of realism, I am going to set up the helicopters without any assistance from the program. So I did practice a little bit. So let's see how it goes. So we're gonna start our flight from JFK, and from JFK to Newark Liberty International. So it's going to be a low altitude airways, and we're going to see how our ATC performs in this type of setup. Let's see how it does with helicopters, whether it's really makes sense to do ATC flying on a helicopter, or it's just basically better just to do a VFR flight on a helicopter. So I'm not sure how much realism the ATC for a helicopter does for your experience, but we're gonna take a look and see whether it makes any sense to do that and how it performs, and how does the experience goes. All right, we're taking off from JFK, runway 22, but again, you can just take off and do your thing on a helicopter. All right, okay, so we're gonna be flying 3,000 feet, and we're gonna try to get to that altitude as soon as possible. Now it's a little bit of a challenge here on a helicopter. You have to give it power, and you have to let it lift rather than push stick forward. So it's hopefully you won't get nauseous here, but let's see how it goes.
Alpha India Romeo contact Kennedy departure on 125.25. Good day.
125.25 Alpha India Romeo. Kennedy departure Zulu India Golf Golf Yankee Alpha India Romeo is at 700 feet climbing 2,000 feet.
Zulu India Golf Golf Yankee Alpha India Romeo Kennedy departure altimeter tree 0.12 continue as planned.
All right, we are.
Alpha India Romeo climb and maintain 3,000 feet.
All right, we're given the instruction for 3,000 feet,
and maintain 3,000 feet Alpha
we're going to
India
try to
Romeo.
follow our GPS or our flight plan from Kennedy to Newark. I don't believe they give you any vectors here, so we're just going to have to kind of check with our flight plan.
Alpha India Romeo, you are 600 feet above your assigned altitude. Descend and maintain 3,000 feet altimeter, tree 0.12.
All right, so it's kind of hard to keep your altitude here with a
Descend
helicopter.
and maintain 3,000 feet Alpha India Romeo.
So you have to constantly kind of manually push the stick forward or reduce your power. But we'll manage. This is kind of like the challenge of helicopters, and it keeps you engaged in your flying experience here. So here's some of the basic instrumentation for the helicopters. You can see the altitude gauges and the speed gauges, RPMs. I'm just, I'm just trying to familiarize myself with it. It's a very different experience from flying your usual fixed wing aircraft. But I'm still maintaining that 3,000 feet, so that's good. That's good. We do have a wind from the south, so it's kind of pushing the aircraft. So I have to keep using that rudder, or the equivalent of the rudder for helicopters here. Probably I'm not using the right terminology, so you have to, if you're a helicopter enthusiast, please forgive my lack of knowledge here in terms of the terminology. Beautiful day here in New York City, as you can see. You see the lower part of Manhattan over here with, to the right, for the front left, you can see the Statue of Liberty over there. So far, so good. I'm finding that you have to really, unless you modify your stick settings, you have to kind of keep your movements very slight and minimal. Anything, it's not like your fixed aircraft, so anything will just make the helicopter kind of either bank or pitch forward, and so I'm finding that I have to keep a very light touch on it. Alright, so we are approaching, we kind of coming down below our altitude here, so I have to keep on pulling back on the stick so the helicopter picks up altitude, and when I want to go faster I push on the stick and the helicopter kind of dips, and if I don't add power it just kind of loses altitude. Alright, so in terms of ATC, we haven't been given that many instructions here. Yeah, except for now we're just getting those instructions.
500 feet, Alpha India Romeo.
Alpha India Romeo, you are 4 miles east of Newark. Contact Newark Tower on
So
118.3.
2,500.
Tower on 118.3 Alpha India Romeo. Newark Tower Zulu India Golf Golf Yankee Alpha India Romeo, 3 miles east inbound ILS runway 22 right approach.
Zulu India Golf Golf Yankee Alpha India Romeo Newark Tower. Altimeter 30.1313 at 16. Cleared ILS runway 22 right approach. Alpha India Romeo 1303 at 16. Cleared to land runway 22 right.
Cleared to land runway 22 right Alpha India Romeo.
So we're clear to runway 22 right. It's an ILS approach, but again the helicopter does not have any type of instrumentation to do an ILS, so I'm just gonna basically approach the airport and just go over and turn to a heading of 220. Once I get close enough, I'm just gonna follow the runway. I'm sure that in real life you have a different approach for helicopters. ATC will give you some different instructions so you don't kind of get in the middle of other aircrafts coming into a runway. But if you have experience with helicopters or you're a helicopter pilot, let me know if I'm doing this correctly or what would be the correct procedures, because obviously the Microsoft Flight Simulator does not have the procedures here for helicopters in terms of an approach to an airport or landing or anything like that. Right now I'm just following kind of the same procedures as a fixed aircraft, a fixed wing aircraft, but I'm sure this is not correct. So I'm just following 22 right over here along the way, and I'm trying to lose some altitude here, trying to put it right at the end of the runway or nearby. I'm sure if this was a real ATC that they would tell me to get out of the way quickly, because I'm spending too much time above the runway. And let's see if I can pick up some speed here to get to the place where I want to be. Yeah, it's a little bit touchy, and however, not bad for, especially when I'm not using any type of assistance from the program. But I do find myself having to make a lot of little inputs and changes in my joystick here. I'm not sure if here, I'm not sure if I should be landing here, so I'm just gonna keep on moving. Again, I'm not getting any type of instructions here from ATC, so I don't blame them. I'm really bad myself in this, so they're probably scratching their head and thinking, what is this guy doing here? But anyway, I do have a bad co-pilot here. Sometimes she gets annoyed with me and leaves. That's another story anyway. Alright, so I'm going to see where I'm going to land. I'm just going to follow this exit over here. Well, I think not bad on the piloting, but not good on procedural stuff and approach, all of that. So, but I just wanted to give people a sense of how ATC works for helicopters. And
Alpha India Romeo, you are not cleared to take off.
yeah, right. I should have landed. Anyway, just give a sense of how ATC works for helicopters. And whoops, a bit of a hard landing here. That's about the worst mistake I've made so far, so I'm happy. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a sense of how helicopters work, and how ATC works with helicopters. And I hope that you found the video informative and somewhat fun. And if you did, go ahead and like, and if you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching Kjfk.